years, the differences between Ibn Taymiyyah and Ibn Abdul Wahab. And there are profound differences. Of them, the most important one, Ibn Taymiyyah did not make takfir of his opponents that did the same things that the opponents of Ibn Abdul Wahab did, and he made takfir and made them halal them. So, to respond to part one of your question, I have to admit, I no longer consider myself to be a follower of Ibn Abdul Wahab, where I used to 15 years ago. But 10 years ago, around 10 years, or more than a decade ago, facts became clear to me that, and I said, and the fault is my own, but I will say third wave Najdi Da'wah sanitizes first wave Najdi Da'wah. And that's why the average third wave Najdi Da'wah student is in denial. No, Ibn Abdul Wahab didn't consider himself to be the only Muslim group in the world. Yes, he did. Go read his writings and look at what he did. Look at his level of understanding when he said, and this is quoted from his writings, when he said, no one understood Tawheed, including any of my teachers, before I came along. This is what he himself says in his own writings. This is a level of fanaticism. And the takfir is a level of neo-Kharijism that I simply cannot tolerate. To consider the entire ummah to be kafir and mushrik other than yourself is not mainstream Islam. And so I believe that I was taught a version of his da'wah, that's third wave, because third wave doesn't teach that, right? Third wave is much better than first wave. Third wave is still kind of sort of, it's removed much of the fanaticism of the first wave because they have to. I mean, you can't live in the modern world. The second wave beginning tried to, right? King Abdul Aziz literally had to turn his secular troops against his religious troops. There was a civil war between the ulama, basically, and between the secular Baddu followers, the Bedouin followers, that their loyalty is to the secular Abdul Aziz, not to the religious figure. There was a war. What was that war over? The war was over the interpretation of the Najdi Da'wah. And the first Najdi Da'wah basically was eliminated, thus giving rise to the second Najdi Da'wah. But even the second Najdi Da'wah, it was still too fanatical for living in the modern world. And so by the 60s, that too had to be toned down immensely. Now we have the third. Dare I say we're witnessing a fourth wave if you look at the current guy in office, but I don't want to say too much because I do want to get a Saudi visa. So we move on to your next question.
Sheikh,
The heart has nothing negative and evil now against somebody who's an Ash'ari or a Maturidi or a Tablighi or a Deobandi or a Jamati or a Ikhwani. All of these groups have good in them, all of them. And they might have some bad as well. None of them are revelations from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and all of them are attempts to bring about good in the ummah. That's what I look at. That's my current attitude. By the way, this has been called post-Salafism by modern researchers, and there's an element of truth to that, post-Salafism.